yak monsters, route gods, and speed demons. These 10 wide receivers are ready to light up the NFL. From Tetairoa McMillan to Luther Burden, the amount of playmaking, high pointing, and pure speed from these prospects are unbelievable. This is one of the most slept on wide receiver classes that I have scouted in some time. They are the future of the league, but who will be number one? Welcome back to another video, everyone. We're going to be breaking down the top 10 wide receiver prospects that I have broken down in this 2025 NFL draft process. Man, this group was very special in my opinion. From breaking down guys who had just phenomenal ability with the ball in their hands after the catch, to guys being able to, take a 5-yard slant to 70 yards to the house, to jump ball technicians, to route running technicians. This class has it all. And I am here to break down and give my in-depth analysis on these prospects. But first, let me categorize and go through the type of receivers that you should look for when scouting. First, you have your deep threats. Those are the guys who will usually have top end speed, and they're usually, just a threat on, on go balls. Maybe it's a post route. These guys live with for the big play. They live for the big play, and those guys are very valuable to your team. Next to these possession guys, these guys have incredible hands, and these are sure route running or sure-handed receivers that you can just count on and get, the first down, move the sticks. I love this skill of hand catching. Then you have your yak monsters. These are guys, may not have that route running ability, but when they get the ball in their hands, they are incredible playmakers, and they can make a guy miss, and you can almost guarantee a 10 to 15 yard gain. When they get the ball in their hand, it's just something exciting waiting to happen. And then you have your jump ball specialists, usually your taller guys, maybe sometimes not your taller guys, but these guys, they have a place in this league as well for a fade ball, maybe even a 9 route. But if you leave them one-on-one and they have the size advantage, they have the knack to high point the ball and play some offensive ball hawking. And then of course, we got the route running specialist. This is where the art of route receiving is at its core, in my opinion. Guys being able, footwork is here, hand fight, everything is here just to create separation. Probably the most important skill to translate into the National Football League that you look for. I love a good route running technician. But I'm gonna leave you with this. The two skills that I'm looking for that is an easy turn on or turn off for me is a guy that's a hand catcher versus a body catcher. I absolutely hate body catchers because that's the one thing you can automatically probably scratch off 2 routes of the route tree to come back in the curl, because the moment you are contested, I don't trust that you're going to catch the ball. But let's get into this rankings. At number 10, I have Savion Williams from TCU, wide receiver, standing at about 6'5", 225 pounds. On the year, this past year, he had 60 receptions for 611 yards. I know I got a guy on this list that didn't hit the 1K mark. That's probably the superficial trademark for a good receiver in this league. But I'm telling you, there's some things on film that I feel like if he gets drafted by a good team, they can unlock a lot of things within this player, man. When I watch his kid is extremely athletic. Okay, he just has that great wiggle, that great burst. He just has that athleticism that can scream and translate to other areas on the field. He's a yak guy. He's primarily a yak guy. Matter of fact, that goes in, hand in hand. Not much downfield routes, a lot of stuff close to the line of scrimmage, a lot of screens, a lot of slants. They're just trying to get the ball into this kid's hands because he's very dynamic, very versatile with it, not afraid to take on contact, and he's mainly used as a very pivotal auxiliary piece. Okay, yeah, he's like I said, he's an auxiliary repping, not much route running down the field, which is a concern for me. I needed more reps. I feel like he's more of he's raw in a lot of areas, but I feel like in the right system and scheme, a true offensive coordinator can truly unlock this kid, and he's gonna have great usage in the NFL with a great plan behind him. That is Savion Williams from TCU. At number 9, I got Jayden Higgins out of Iowa State. Okay, stands about 6'4", 215 pounds. On the year, he had 87 receptions for 1,185 yards. This kid is special. This kid is special. So I'm gonna get with the negative out the way first. He's not a blazer, okay? Not very much athletically gifted. And you're like, Luke, man, why you got him high on this list? He's not athletic and everything like that. There's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to win at receiver. And how this guy does it, he's a technician. And I value the technician, okay? He understands that he's not athletically gifted. Don't count him out of getting better though, okay? He's not gonna be probably at your top of the top, percentage wise when it comes to athletes, but I do trust him to go in and work. I feel like he relies heavy on footwork. I trust a receiver that has great footwork. Add Chad Ochocinco, even though he was athletic, but I feel like he's a very particular receiver. The way he runs his routes, I can tell he counts his step, and he's so in tune with the quarterback, because the quarterback, he always makes an effort to fight back over and makes the job easier for the quarterback. He's not athletically gifted, but I see a receiver doing it. That is a more mature route runner that a lot of young guys don't really have, okay? He thrives at getting in the DB's blind spot, okay? That mean once he stacks on the receiver and he feels the DB turning, he'll get on that blind spot where the DB will lose him on the route, okay? And that loss that the DB is doing creates just a half a second for him, and now the comeback is on time. Now the curl is on time. Now the out is on time. I appreciate and I pay attention to stuff like that. That's somebody who's ultra aware of where he is on the football field. I categorize him as a possession receiver, okay, but don't rule out his route running ability. He's a hand technician. Like he's always, I love receivers that are fighting all throughout the whistle, all throughout with the DB, even at the last second to just get his hands in place and attack the ball. Hand catcher, I love that. But that's Jayden Higgins, man, out of Iowa State. I really, really do appreciate the guy who plays the game the right way. At number 8, this gonna surprise a couple of people, man, but watch the film. I got Nick Nash, wide receiver from San Jose State, standing at about 6'3", 195 pounds. On the year, had 104 receptions for 1,382 yards. Yes, even though he comes from a smaller school, it's not a small school. It's just the Mountain West, everyone. Just a Division I AA. That's all it is. But the kid, you turn on a film, I categorize this kid as a jump ball receiver. He is attacking the ball, and especially at 6'3", I wouldn't call that a tall wide receiver, but most jump ball receivers are 6'5", 6'6", and he plays like that. But even though he's at 6'3", the kid's film was just ultra dynamic, man. He's a high point catcher. At least one defender, every one of his balls, he may not have the separation because I see one defender that's always on him, but he's definitely going to come down with the football every time. The kid has phenomenal hands. Also, if he has some deep threat ability in his game, because he possesses one of the most important skills that I look for when I'm watching a receiver. If you're running a 9 ball, okay, one thing I pay attention to, a go route. If you didn't know, a go route, I pay attention to if you're giving your quarterback a lot of room within the sideline. Why is that? Because the cornerback is taught to press you towards the sideline and use the sideline as an extra defender. So in return, if you're running a 9 route and you're leaving a lot of room from you on the sideline, that's more room for error for the quarterback to throw to, and now your quarterback don't have to be ultra, accurate. But he's going to the NFL. These quarterbacks should be ultra accurate to begin with. But I love a receiver that makes the quarterback's job easier, okay? Yeah, the fade balls, the go balls, I think those are his go-through. He's just a strong receiver for his height. I feel like he's a pound-for-pound receiver with some dynamic tape, some great numbers that he put up, and I feel like this is a kid no one's really talking about, but I'm giving some light on his kid's name, and that is Nick Nash, wide receiver from San Jose State, man. This kid is phenomenal, man. At number 7, I got Tre Harris, wide receiver from Ole Miss, standing about 6'3", 210 pounds. On the year, he has 60 receptions for 1,030 yards. Man, Ole Miss just consistently does it and does it again. They put out the same archetype, same type of build of receiver almost in every draft. We got DK Metcalf, Debo Samuel, Jonathan Mingo. Like they have that similar build. Obviously, those are different caliber of players, but they got that build. They're just the bigger receivers that's swole, that's athletic, that has some deep ability, that's post routes. I feel like he has some yak ability to the game. That's why I have him high up on my list. This guy has some. When he has the ball in his hand, he becomes a very dynamic receiver. And even it has a lot of wiggle for his size. It was very, very, very surprising. I feel like at his size, he's going to give a lot of DBs some trouble. The way he attacks the ball, it's not like every other receiver, but he does. That's Tre Harris, wide receiver from Ole Miss. At number 6, I got the receiver from Oregon, Tez Johnson. Yes, sir, at 5'10". Only 165 pounds, though. On the year, he had 82 receptions for 898 yards. But in the 2023 season, he had 86 receptions for 1,186 yards, okay? Man, yeah, I mean, if you've seen the Senior Bowl, the senior practices, this kid in one-on-ones is pretty much unguardable. And it's because he's super shifty at that slight frame. One of the knocks against him is that it's that slight frame. I feel like if anybody in the NFL is going to hit him, he's going to fly about 10 yards, honestly. He's going to have to learn how to, get a slide in his game in order to prolong his career, because he does, or put some more meat on the bone and bulk up. But this kid thrives and flourishes in the space. Insane yak ability. I feel like he's a true slot at the NFL position. The ability to, take any contact, ball at any time. He's a gadget guy. Insane dexterity. Not necessarily a deep threat. He loves the short routes. A lot of bubble screens, a lot of, hitches, a lot of, just slants. And once he gets in that open field, he's just at home. One concern I wanted to point out, in college, if you didn't notice, there's a lot skinnier hashes, right? The hash marks at the midfield, right? In NFL, those hash marks are like 30 yards wider. I just only wanted to point out this. Of course, in college, we put the ball on the hash if the ball goes on the right side of the field or left side of the field. But what Oregon took advantage of this, because at times they will put him on the opposite hash and he'll have like 65 yards to work with in the NFL. So I know he thrives in space, but in NFL, he's not going to be able to work with 65 yards of space. And you got to have a quarterback that can actually throw it to the hash, which you should at this pro level. But that is something just to take in mind. The amount of space he's going to have to be able to work with is going to be shrunken down. Will we still see the same player, and will it translate? That's Tez Johnson from Oregon. At number 5, I got a good one. Wide receiver from TCU, Bech, standing at about 6'2", 215 pounds. On the year, he had 62 receptions for 1,034 yards. If you watch the Reese's Bowl and the Reese's Senior Bowl and you followed him, this was the big dog in camp. This is what everyone voted as the best receiver from camp, and I take note of that. If you are a dog amongst dogs, you get a bump up in my book. And he already had great film to begin with. Great as a weapon in the NFL. That is Bech, wide receiver from TCU. At the number 4 slot, I got Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver from Ohio State University, standing about 6'1", 205 pounds, 81 receptions on the year for 1,011 yards. Man, this guy right here, what you're getting from him is a guy that's solidified at the floor, a great number 2 receiver, in my opinion, because we know about the great Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State. But this guy is a route technician. He will put pressure on a zone. I love how he uses tempo in his routes. That shows me somebody who's mature and aware and who understands the game and understands zones, philosophies, and how the defense is planning to attack them. It's a guy that does all the little things correct. He's not a blazer. He's not an insane, athletic. He's not a yak guy. He's a guy that you can just guarantee he's going to run a great route and has strong hands and is going to move the sticks either way. I feel like he's a very particular guy because he's another one of those guys I can tell that counts his steps when he runs. Always aware is on the field. He's going to get depth on a receiver, carry it higher if a little bit more if the DB is giving it to him. And he's just a guy that yeah, like I feel like he's very much, an underrated prospect, and I feel like he's gonna be one of those guys who's, what you're getting in this prospect here, and that's Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver from Ohio State University. At number 3, we got Luther Burden, wide receiver from Missouri. Man, standing about 5'11", 208 pounds on the year, had 61 receptions for 676 yards, but in 2023 had 86 receptions for 1,209 yards. Big difference. Really, his stats are within half, but I think he's a victim of, just having a not great quarterback in this league. But this guy is a yak guy. Definitely when he has the ball in his hand, I feel like that's the next step in his game. I need to see him, that dynamic, twitch he has in his game. I need to see him. It's a great starting comp, but it's not directly him, because I feel like, this guy has more wiggle, and he's not afraid of contact. He's a extremely great competitor. He's a guy who's going to definitely motivate the team. Just a footballer. Like, this is a good guy, but I feel like he can translate to something a bit more, and that's Luther Burden, wide receiver from Missouri. At the number 2 slot, I got my guy, Matthew Golden from the University of Texas, standing about 6 foot even, 195 pounds. On the year, he had 58 receptions for 987 yards. Yes, I know this is the name that's been trending up and everyone's been sleeping on in the draft. I mean, I'm a Texas fan, and when they were saying that, this Isaiah Bond was the receiver to watch out for, I was like, what film are y'all watching? Oh, is he not coming out? And when he finally declared, and as more film, as we got more in this draft process, more people are really starting to see how much of a great receiver this guy is. This guy catches everything. This guy, his hands are impeccable. His route running is very good, especially in the short, in the short area. The short area quickness is insane. Dynamic. Does a good job at the route running mechanics. Great hand timing, strong hands, great zone positioning, knows how to sit down within the zone. I pay attention to. Always fights back to the ball. I really love that. He never runs a slant the same way. I appreciate when you're running routes is going to turning back towards the quarterback. I hate receivers that drift back and back and back and allows the DB to come around front and make a play. No, go attack towards the ball. He's not much of a yak person. Like, he's not going to give you much after the catch, but I'm telling you, before that catch, he plays with patience. He plays with awareness. He's going to set up the receiver. He runs a route like he's he has a plan. He plays with tempo. He'll if you need him to create separation, and I told you I value that, he's going to create the separation, and runs his routes like a pro, man. And that's Matthew Golden, wide receiver from Texas. And at the number 1 spot, we got Tetairoa McMillan, wide receiver from Arizona, standing at about 6'5", 212 pounds. On the year, he had 84 receptions for 1,316 yards. Long frame, hand catcher. Okay, has great wiggle at the top of his routes, during his routes. He's a gifted receiver. He has that skill as well, where he always gonna put himself in great position for his quarterback to make the throw. He's fighting with the hands, with the DB all throughout the route, doing everything he can to create some type of separation. Sneaky good athleticism, and the kid just does a phenomenal job at the top of his routes. This guy is the wide receiver 1 of this class, and is well deserved, because this kid plays at a different pace. Whatever teams get him, it's gonna be a great pick. But that is my top list. I hope you love it. Comment down below guys I missed, or guys that you love that's in this list that needed more love, or guys that I showed love to. He was like, oh, I didn't know about that. Just had that conversation with me down in the chat below. But listen, if you made it this far, make sure to like and subscribe, turn on that notification bell for more content like this, and until next time, peace.